So, welcome to Ashman's grand opening. And my name is Colleen. I actually grew up in northern Alberta, and most everyone on here today is Canadian, but our company works in Canada and the US. And I live in a community that actually really it's an oil community, so people make good income here. And what I saw growing up was a couple of things, and maybe you've seen this in your world too, but I've seen people come to my city to make money with this idea that if they could just make $100,000 a year, that all of their money problems would go away. That in fact, they would come here, they would be able to work for 5 years and then go back home with this big bucket of money, and then they would live the easy life from there on. But what I saw happen was we make more money, we spend more money, we make more money, we spend more money, we pay more taxes. And we would get into this cycle where 5 years would go by and 10 years would go by and 20 years would go by. And those same people that came here on that 5 year plan were still here. Right? And so my husband and I, when we were, launching our adult life, we said, you know what, we're going to do something different. We're going to start a business. And so we actually started an automotive business, and we wanted to have time freedom. We wanted to make lots of money, and we didn't want a boss. And what we found is that particular business, we really bought ourselves a job. And so we worked a lot of hours. We had no mentorship, no system. We were just figuring it out on our own. And while we did do well, we were able to grow, and had that business for 20 years, learned a ton. I often think, what would we have been able to do if we had a system, if we had mentorship? And actually, what happened to us, what kind of a million things happened to bring me into this business. But when we started our business, I didn't have kids. Then I had 3 kids. Things changed. I wanted to actually be with my kids. And a wildfire actually in 2016 burned down about 30% of our town in a couple of hours. And so the whole city had to evacuate. Over 100,000 people were displaced, and we had a couple of hours to get out. But what happened was our business, well, we couldn't make any money. So we had no income, but our bills didn't stop. And we weren't allowed to return to our city for 6 months. So we couldn't rebuild, we couldn't earn income in that whole time. And while most people won't experience a wildfire, I hope that something like that never happens to you. What I've learned is most people do have something happen to them. There's some sort of life event. Maybe it's a job loss. Maybe it's an illness. Maybe it's something like that, an early death that derails them financially and makes things really significantly more difficult. And so those things all came together. And at that time, this came across my plate. Someone said to me, Colleen, have you ever considered financial services? And I was like, no. At that point, the only thing I knew about money was that I did not have enough. And so that might be you. It might be someone you know. But I started in the company, and I've learned a ton about money. And now I really get to mentor people like Ashwin and brave people that say, you know what, I have a dream. I want more for myself, and I'm ready to start this business. And so I'm so blessed to be able to do what I do. I have a team of agents that work across Canada and the USA. Can you guys see my screen okay? I just want to make sure that you can do
Yes.
that. Okay, perfect. Um, I started with a company called Experior. You probably have not heard of it, but we're actually a Canadian MGA, which is basically like a wholesaler of insurance in the background. And we're actually the first Canadian company to expand into the US, which is, I think, really cool because it's usually the other way around, right? Usually they're coming into Canada, and we're the first Canadian company to go into the US, and we are expanding like gangbusters. We actually have over 10,000 licensed agents right now. When I started with the company almost 2 years ago, we had about 3,000 licensed agents. So we've overgrown over double in the last year and a half. And I would not be surprised if we crest of that 20,000 mark, in the new year sometime. We are really trying to do things differently in the market. Our founders are young and vibrant. Their names is Jamie and Leanne Prickett, and they came from the industry. And what they saw in the industry, if you're not familiar with insurance industry, is unfortunately a lot of companies don't do the right thing for clients, and they also don't do the right thing for their agents. So these people wanted to start a company where we really changed that and we were able to provide an exceptional opportunity for agents as well as do the right thing for clients. So they're the type of people that they've adopted 5 kids. They have their own couple kids and then they said, "Let's get 5 more." So that's just the kind of people they are as they're building this crazy company. They're on this big journey where we're really growing. We have people offering to buy the company, all those kinds of things, but we're like, "No, we're on this mission, we're gonna keep going." And so those are the kinds of people that started our company, and we're built on that foundation of integrity. But Experior is actually a brokerage. So what that means is we don't make our own insurance, but what we do is we represent many in insurance and investment companies across Canada, the United States, and Puerto Rico. So in Canada, these are some of the companies that we deal with. You might recognize some of them like Manulife, a lot of people know, but Beneva, IA, these are very reputable companies that have been in Canada for a very long time. So we're able to work with someone's entire financial house, whether that's insurance, whether that's investments, private wealth management, travel insurance, group insurance. We're able to go into a family and shop the market for the solutions that might help them. I was talking to a gal earlier today, and she said to me, and this is a common story, my husband had cancer. I don't think he can get any different life insurance. I was like, I probably think he can, depending on how long it's been. Because we have so many different providers, I'm able to kind of toggle through the providers and find a solution for the family usually. We have, like I said, discretionary wealth management, which is proprietary to us. And then we also have referral partners. So when I'm working with a family, if they need a mortgage, or if I think they can get a better rate or a refinance, if they have too much debt, if they need corporate tax reviews, home and auto insurance, legal shield, neo bank account, we're able to pair those clients with those different solutions, and us as agents are able to earn income on that. Actually, even our unlicensed agents that start with us from day one can start to earn income as a referral partner with some of these companies. So they're able to start helping and earning money right away as maybe they're studying for their license. In the US, of course, same thing. We have a lot of different providers that we work with. And this is why we exist for the client. What we see in the market is a lot of financial confusion. People do not know what to do with their money, or at least maybe that was just me. I don't know. I didn't learn about money in school. It wasn't something that we talked about in my family. It was like, shh, shh, that's not a topic for discussion, but it's something that we use every day in our life, right? Like we need to know how money works. And so we see 3 main reasons why people fail financially or at least are struggling financially. Number 1, no education, like I said, it's not really something that we learn in school. I was taught in school, and this will age me again, they taught us how to write a check. So that didn't really help me in my adult life in the modern world. We have no plan. We just go out there, we make a bunch of mistakes, and then we try and fix it. Wouldn't it be cool if instead we were able to sit with someone and make a plan? And then no coach, because a plan without a coach is often forgot about. It's put in a drawer and we forget about it. Even great sports heroes like Kobe Bryant had a personal coach. Tim Grover was his coach. He actually did some coaching with one of the teams I was working with one time. And they see the value in having that continual person to kind of help them be on track. And so that's where we come alongside a client and we help teach them about money. We help them formulate that plan and we help them coach them through it every single step of the way. And we keep doing that year after year after year. It's not just like you get a plan from us and then I never talk to you again. Some of my clients become actually really good friends. And it's such a cool relationship to have with people when they come to me and they say, "Hey, Colleen, I think we're on track for retirement. What do you think?" And then I'm able to say, "Yeah, we're doing great. You guys are on track. You can relax. We've done a good job." And it's a really I feel honored to have that. Um, a lot of Canadians, though, and Americans are struggling with a ton of debt. So we've created partnerships with strategic companies. One of them is Debt Medic. They will actually go in and they can help eliminate actually up to about 80% of someone's debt. So if a family is struggling with insurmountable debt, they really can't get out of it, we can come in alongside and say, okay, let's go and let's talk to Debt Medic and let's try and eliminate that stress. For me, when we were going through that wildfire, remember, I wasn't making any income and my bills didn't stop. Now, our business bills were over $200,000 a month. So you can do the math. $200,000 times at least 6 months, you're able to burn through a lot of money very fast. Now, your bills are probably not $200,000 a month in your household, but the stress can feel the same. So for us, it was like when my head hit the pillow at night, that debt, that stress, that fear was often all I could think about, right? And for families, if we can help eliminate that stress and they can start to, prosper again and feel that relief, I think that's just really such a service that I love to be a part of. And then we go into helping families have enough protection, meaning, what if the main breadwinner was not bringing home a paycheck anymore? What if they passed away unexpectedly? We've often seen GoFundMe's on Facebook, and I don't care how sad your story is, a GoFundMe will never raise enough money to replace the income that that parent would have produced over the next 10 or 20 years. Maybe, you get $20,000, $30,000 in a GoFundMe. It helps pay for the funeral, but it's not going to help pay for the mortgage or the basketball that the child is in or the post-secondary that they were looking forward to. But with proper life insurance that fits the family's budget, it doesn't have to be that way. However, it's also something that a lot of people avoid. It's not usually number one on the to-do list. And that's where we come in and we say, "Hey, we're going to educate you about this. Let's get this covered." And often, even times, I find that people are overpaying depending on what type of policy they might have been sold somewhere else. So, actually, a lot of times I'm going in first and foremost to see, what do you have? And can I help you save any money? Or can I get that money working harder for you in some way? And then we can even start to do really cool and sexy stuff like $1,000,000 baby plans, where we go from just protecting money to actually building intergenerational wealth, which you say that, and I don't think you can't get excited about it. I was doing my son's numbers, and I don't tell my kids this, so hopefully they don't see this recording until they're old enough to take it in properly. But I was doing my son's numbers. He has about $30,000 in one of his accounts, and just with the growth, even if we never put any more money in it, if it continues to grow the way that it has, he will have multiples of millions of dollars in that account by the time he's 65. With inflation, it's probably not gonna be enough to retire, but he's gonna be way ahead of where I was. And if I can personally, as a parent, if I can help pass that on to my child and it's not taking a big chunk out of my monthly budget, for me, that's something that we felt was really important. So we do that with people. But I want to show you what happens a lot of times. Has anyone heard of the rule of 72? It is just a simple calculation of how money grows, how compound interest works. Basically, what you do is you take the interest rate you're earning and you divide it into 72. So if you are earning 1%, One goes into 72 times. So your money is going to double every 72 years. I don't care how young you are right now, you don't have a lot of 72 years left. Okay? But let's pretend for a minute that you were 29 years old and you went to the bank and you said, I've got $10,000 to invest. And they said, we will give you 4% rate of return until you retire. Four goes into 72 18 times. So that means your money would double every 18 years. When you're 65, that money would have grown from 10,000 to 40,000. You're feeling pretty good because you have always heard that the stock market is risky and you didn't lose any money. In fact, it doubled twice. But the bank does not actually put our money in a vault with a like Ashwin's name on it. There is no little place in their vault for Ashwin and his money. What they do is they actually take our money and they invest it in the market and they lend it back to us. And let's say the market did an average of 12% in that time frame. 12 goes into 72 6 times. So the money actually doubled every 6 years. So it did not grow to 40,000. It did not grow to 80,000. It actually grew to $640,000. So the bank is very happy to give you the $40,000 they promised you because they're just keeping the change of $600,000. I don't know about you, but I think every $600,000 in my pocket come retirement is probably going to be a big help, right? And so this is some of the things that we teach people to do is how can they actually trade places with the bank? How can they be in a position to be earning the higher interest rate? And oftentimes, because of the quality of investments that we have on our platform, we can put a person in position to have their money grow so much better without doing anything more risky. We're not doing it by doing wild and crazy, weird investing techniques. We're just putting them in a position to have quality money managers that are dedicated to helping them grow their money. How many more Canadians and Americans need to see that? Because what we see is that most people, when they end up at retirement age, do not have enough money. In fact, over 74% reach retirement age with less than $100,000. I don't know about you, but I do not want to work my whole entire life and then hope that the government takes care of me or hope that my children take care of me. That's not what I signed up for. But unfortunately, because so many people aren't shown how to get their money working harder for them, like I showed you in the last slide, that is the reality that many people are facing. So we need to be able to teach people how money works and how to be able to access higher level strategies and solutions that will actually get their money working hard enough that they have a shot at being where they need to be come retirement time. My question is, if we know that 74% retire with less than 100,000, what is your plan to avoid ending up there? So when we meet with a client, we do what we call an expert financial analysis. We're going to say, where are you right now? Where do you need to be? And then we're going to help you make a plan to get there. And so we'll go through all of the different solutions that we have in our toolbox, and we'll create a custom solution for you that makes you feel empowered and makes you feel like you're on the right track. For me, like I said, it is an honor to do this work with people. I feel like it's a service that needs to happen in the market, and people need our help. However, there is not enough of us doing this in the market. The industry has an aging agent population. The average age of an agent in insurance or investing is, I think, over 65 now. And there's not enough young people entering the market. So I'm going to talk to you just for a moment about our expansion. Um, it is probably not for you, but you might know someone that the opportunity might be a possible fit for. So if it's okay with you, if I have your permission, I'm going to quickly go through that with you guys, okay? I want you to think for a minute all of those dreams and hopes that you had when you were in high school. When I was in high school, I was gonna have a mansion. I was gonna have a Ferrari. I was gonna, go on big vacations. And then I got my first job and I saw my paycheck and I was like, maybe I could have a tiny home and a Miata. I had to take all my dreams and shrink them into the size of my paycheck. I don't know if I was the only one, but what if we could start to pull some of those hopes and dreams out of the cupboard? That's what this business has done for me and my family. When I started in finance, not only did I learn a ton about money, but I was able to start taking the vacations I had wanted with my family. I was able to start putting my son, he goes to this basketball camp all over the US every year. He goes and stays in a college dorm. He went to Tennessee this year, he went to Utah last year. And it is not cheap, but he loves it. And I'm so grateful to be able to provide that for him. And it was possible because of this business. And so those dreams and hopes that I had for myself and my family, I was able to start checking off again. I was able to pay off our debt. I was able to start saying yes to some of those extras again that inflation had took away from us. And so for most people or most families, if they could start to earn a few $1,000s extra a month, they would be able to start doing some of those same things. Heck, even if you earned an extra $1,000 a month, for most people, it would make a significant difference. And when we work and build residual income like we can in finance, when we're doing insurance and investments, we're paid what's called trails and residuals. We get paid an upfront commission, which will show you what that looks like, but we also earn something called residual income. And passive income seems to be something that I hear a lot about on the internet right now. Like people are always like on these mom chats, how can I earn passive income? Passive income, passive income. Passive income comes as a result of active income. So when you build a business that starts to pay you residually, you start to build this asset value. And in our firm, we own that. But if you had a residual income of $1,000 a month and you were to say, well, what if I had that money invested? How much would I need to have to pay me $1,000 a month? Does that make sense? So if you were earning $1,000 passively off your investments that were earning, let's say 5% conservatively, you would need to have $240,000 invested. If you were earning $5,000 a month, you would need to have $1.2 million invested. And $10,000 a month of residual income would be the same as having $2.4 million invested. I don't know how good you are at saving, but I'm not sure if you want to take out your calculator, how long you think it would take you to save $2.4 million in the next 5 to 10 years. For me, I was like, I don't think that's going to happen. But I could see a pathway to making that happen in this business. And we are about halfway to doing that right now in my agency. And I would not have been able to save $1.2 million in that same time frame. So for my family, it's been a huge blessing. And for a lot of families that need to make up that retirement gap, this can be an amazing option for them. Even if they don't do it full time, they can start to earn extra income, pay off some of that debt, and maybe go full time like I did. So I started part time and then I transitioned to full time once my income was at a level that I felt confident about. But most people usually ask, "Can I make money doing this? Like, can I make money? How much money do I usually make off a plan? What does that even look like, Colleen?" So if you were helping one person a month and they were paying $1,200 a year of annual premium, so that's like they're paying $100 a month onto a life insurance plan. As a starting out financial associate who is really basically acting like an apprentice to someone like myself. So that means the trainer is usually doing the bulk of the work and the new agent is learning like an apprentice. From that plan, they would make about $840. And then as an executive director like myself, they're independent, they're going to make more of that income. They would make about 1440 off of that same plan. If you were doing that 4 times a month as an executive director, that would give you an income of about $5,700 a month. Most people still feel a little bit scared, and that's okay because it is a business. It is something new. You might feel a little uncomfortable, but that's okay. We have a ton of support. Folks can start part time like I did, and they do not have to have experience in finance. They don't have to be good at math. We give them hands on training and support. There's pretty much daily webinar trainings happening at this point. They're all recorded. They live in a 24/7 video library. There's personal and business development. So we help you not only learn about money, but learn how to be a business owner, learn how to market your business, and learn how to be successful. And we want you to succeed. If you show up and ask for help, we are going to help you as much as possible, as long as it takes. And to get licensed, we actually even have discounted or reimbursement programs for people to do that. Now, why Experior specifically? I said earlier that we were different in the market by design. We say that we're made by agents by agents. And that's because we have a couple different things. We have a legacy program where even if I am a gold legacy earner at this point, even if I was to pass away, retire, or become disabled, my family would still be paid out on my residual income from my business for 10 years. And as someone advances in our company, that can actually go to 100%. So I felt like that would make up my pension. I wanted that for sure. But we have 3 levels of ownership in our company beyond that. Number 1, day 1, you own your clients. With most investment and insurance companies, they own your clients. So if you leave that position, the clients stay with them. Just like your job, right? If you leave your job, your income doesn't come with you. You can't give that income to your children, right? If I'm a doctor, I can't like say to my child, "Oh, you can be a doctor." They have to go through the training and they have to do all the stuff. In our firm, because I own it, I can sell it, I can give it to my children, and I have an actual business that I retain the value of. Number 2, you can build an agency. And that's where you can start to qualify for the legacy program that I was talking about. And that's where you have built a team, kind of like real estate. So each real estate office is owned by someone. And so you can start to build an agency like I have. I have an agency in Canada and the US and people that I've trained and developed and I continue to support. And then number 3, for people that are helping us grow right now because we want to take over the market, we are actually offering shares in Experior. And we are on track to be a $1 billion company within the next few years. So I'm a shareholder now with the company. It took me about a year to do that. And I am really, really blessed that I was able to achieve that. Um, you can actually earn up to 14,000 shares in our company. For people that are in the industry, this will mean something to them. And if you're not in the industry, I just want you to know that we are one of the highest paying agencies out there. We wanted to make sure that even the new person would be highly compensated as well as the experienced person. So we start our people out a lot higher than other agencies, and we can advance within that pay grid up to 160% without having to build an agency, which is also really rare in the market. So we pay out to the grid a total of 213%. And then we also have 8 levels of bonuses on top of that. So there's production bonuses, agency bonuses, there's trips, and all of that kind of stuff on top of this. We wanted to make sure that our agents are very well taken care of versus maybe the corporation. And that is what we mean when we say built by agents for agents. Of course, we want our corporation to be doing well, but we want to make sure that people in the field doing the heavy lifting are able to earn a fair wage for that. So these are some of the people in our company that have to us from scratch, built a business. They come from all different walks of life. This is Simon Makika. He's over $500,000 earner. He was a registered nurse. We've got Matthew Stewart here. He's over a $250,000 earner. He was an EMT. Um, Kevin and Pam Purnell are some of my favorites. He was a banquet server, and then she was a stay-at-home mom, and they have a huge book of investment clients, and they do incredibly well from themselves. They're probably some of the most down to earth, filled with integrity people that I know. And they're the type of people that most financial companies would never have taken the time to train. But we wanted to make sure that our company was equal opportunity. The only requirement is, even though all these people have different walks of life, different backgrounds, different jobs, and different education, the differencing factor in all of them is that they had a will to win and they were willing to be coachable like Ashwin. I'm so proud of him. And again, thank you guys for being here for him because he has been so willing to put the work in. We made calls, we made lists, we did lots of work to make sure this event was successful. And I know that he will continue to do that in his business and work that hard for each and every client that he does have. So I'm so proud of him for launching this business because he has exactly the type of mental position that we need people to have. And after that, we will teach you to do the rest. You show up, you're coachable, you want to win. That's what you need. And we will teach you how to build a successful business. So I want you to think for a minute. You think about the type of vacations that you have been going on, the type of home that you live in, the type of groceries that you're buying, the type of extras that you're saying yes to. If you think about how much money you've saved or invested in the last 3 to 5 years, if the next 3 to 5 years is the same, are you okay with that? And if you're not, I want you to ask this question. If you keep doing what you're doing today, where will you be in 3 to 5 years? Is that what you want? If it is, high five. You're very, very lucky. That is very, very rare, and you are blessed. But if you're not, it might be time for you to consider a change. And you've got a couple options. You can continue as is and maybe give up on your dreams, and you could also challenge yourself to grow and make a change. If you want to consider a change, we would be happy to talk to you about that. If someone came to mind for you that you're watching this and you're like, this person would do wonderful at this, we would love to have a conversation with them. It doesn't mean that, that'll end up a fit for each of us, but we would love to have a conversation with them because we are on a mission to help more people in Canada and the US become stone cold financially free. It is not okay with me that 74% of people are getting to retirement age and do not have enough money. For me, that's unacceptable. And so I'm on a mission to change that, but I need some help. Okay. So these are your options. I'm going to put a little survey in the chat, and Ashwin is going to send it out to you as well. Inside of that survey, we're just going to ask you some feedback for tonight. We're going to ask you maybe what stood out the best. If you have any referrals for him, there'll be a place to put that there. And we're going to ask you this question. Number one, is that what you want to go with? Learning how concepts and strategies could help your own financial situation. We could do a review for you, see where we could get your money possibly working harder for you. Number two is you would like to start in our part time training program as a referral partner or to become licensed. Number three is both. Whichever you pick, we're okay with that. We are still gonna love and respect you and appreciate you for coming tonight. um, but if you do want to have a conversation, we would love to have a conversation with you as well about any of those options. So if there is any questions